This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
The new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire, the no-show. Who set you back because they didn't show up on day one, or day two, or ever again. And now your product launch is delayed because you're talking to alien abduction podcasters to track them down. But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can help make sure your next hire sticks. In fact, businesses who use LinkedIn are 24% less likely to reopen a role in the next 12 months. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
This podcast is part of the Robots Radio Rocket Club, a program designed to help all podcasts reach their full potential. For information about joining the Robots Radio Rocket Club, check out robotsradio.net.
Welcome to Holocron Histories, Star Wars Canon versus Legends, where we're going to take a deep dive into the lore of the Star Wars universe.
Well, hello and welcome to the Holocron Histories podcast, where we talk about all things Star Wars, Legends versus Canon, and we are back after our patron episode. Hello to all of you who are watching us live and in chat. If you're here, go ahead and give a shout out. It's great to have you here. I am Teacup, or Austin. I am one of your co-hosts for this podcast.
And I am your other host, Ben of Temeria.
Yeah. So what are we talking about today?
Today we're continuing more with these crime syndicates, and this episode is going to be kind of different. Both of these syndicates are not in Legends because they were specifically made for the canon. One being the Crimson Dawn, which we do see in Rogue One, and we see a lot of it in the comics mostly. And the other one is the Crymorah Syndicate, which is another crime syndicate that was mainly in the comics, but they are mentioned through like the Clone Wars, and like I think they're in Rebels. They might be mentioned in Rebels if I recall. Can't remember on the top of my head for the Crymorah Syndicate. There's very little info on the Crymorah, so I'm going to go over that one first because there's like no info. So yeah, the Crymorah Syndicate. At some point, Jabba the Hutt became affiliated with the Crymorah Syndicate, and as a result of his collaboration with the Crymorah, he gained a position on the Grand Hutt Council. So, this syndicate helped Jabba become a better position later for his life, I guess. And then 5 years after the end of the Clone Wars, the Syndicate provided the Galactic Empire with intelligence during their attempts to capture Breck Teller and his rebel cell. A lot of this is like not a whole lot. And then in the aftermath of the Battle of Yavin, the destruction of the Empire's superweapon, the Death Star, the Emperor sent his apprentice Darth Vader to secure a deal with the Hutts to gain a new raw materials for Imperial military production. After the destruction of the weapons factory Alpha on Crymoon 1 and the failure of negotiation with the Hutts, the Emperor ruled out the opening negotiations with the Crymorah to secure resources and instead ordered Vader to go to Tatooine to negotiate directly with Jabba the Hutt. Now, knowing that, and we all know who Vader is, I want to know that conversation between Vader and Jabba, because he's not a fan of Jabba.
No, but I mean, he does kind of like put aside whatever personal feelings he has. Like in the Clone Wars movie,
True.
He saves Jabba's son.
That's true.
So, I guess whatever. And like Vader's gonna do what the Emperor says.
True. That's true. Which, if you haven't watched the last episode of Obi-Wan, Vader does what the Emperor tells him to do.
Yeah. I'm wondering, it sounds like a little bit that this kind of the Crymorah are kind of taking a little bit of what the Black Sun's story originally was.
Yeah. And if you heard that, that's Austin's R2 unit now.
Yeah, I forgot it makes sounds when it goes to sleep mode.
It's great though. I love it.
But yeah, because like the Black Suns are kind of doing this whole, yeah, we'll work with the Emperor, and then Xizor is just kind of like, I'm gonna do whatever I want now, and that's the whole like plot of Shadow of the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting that they're just kind of creating their own thing now.
Yeah. So then, after destroying a base of pirates who had been raiding the Empire's supply lines, Vader discovered that the pirates were being backed by the Crymorah and their allies, the droid Qi'ra, a band of separatist-era battle droids who were deactivated and who were acting against the Empire. Several of these droids were upgraded due to the efforts of droid archaeologist Alpha, such as 2 droidicas were equipped with missile launchers. And if you don't know what a droidica is, watch Clone Wars. And them alone, just with their repeating blasters, is tough enough. Now you have droidicas with not only shields, but rocket launchers. Which is not fun.
Kind of like what we see in the finale of Boba Fett.
Yeah, the big gigantic droidica-looking droids.
They also look like the Old Republic droids that
they do.
Give people a lot of trouble.
I wouldn't be surprised they took literally, oh, that looks cool from those games. Hey, let's use that. I mean, they have all Lucasfilm archives. I'm sure that's probably what they did.
I mean, just put Revan's design next to Kylo Ren and you can see that. Like,
yeah. Oh my god, now that you say that. Oh, why? Why'd they do that to my boy Revan? No. So then in 0 ABY, it was reported the Kynabar's Infonet that the Crymorah and the Sun Tool Pride had become the largest casualties in the Grand General's Cassio Tag's undeclared war on the on the War of the Underworld, by 4 ABY had become active in the galaxy again. And that is all we have for the Crymorah. There's very little info.
Do you know where this comes from?
I'm pretty sure it's the comics.
Yeah.
There was, I know, a comic line that deals specifically with like bounty hunter. Like there's the Star Wars Bounty Hunter comic line, which I think this is where it takes place in. Now, the next with the Crimson Dawn have their own comics, and that's where a lot of the info is going to come from. That it's going to be from the Crimson Dawn comics.
Well, I wonder if there is a. I wonder if there are characters in the Darth Vader comics that Disney did like right after the sequels ended or near around there. 2020, Darth Vader 2020 is a series that came out of there. But I know there's a newer, but it's older than 2020 comic or something where there's a scene of Darth Vader surrounded by either rebels or pirates, and they like come up and they say, "You're surrounded," and then Darth Vader says, "I'm surrounded by fear and dead men."
I know what you're talking about. I can't remember what comic run that was.
Right, but I wonder if that's where this, because the name sounds familiar, and they definitely do feel like more of a comic like organization.
And a lot of the crime syndicates are mainly like in the comics. I mean, besides like, you know, the Hutts and like the Black Suns.
Crimson Dawn have their
Crimson Dawn
movie.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, no, it was kind of a major thing in the film, but
yeah,
that was it though.
Yeah.
But So yeah, now we're going to start with the Crimson Dawn. So before recognizing into a larger criminal enterprise, the forerunners of the Crimson Dawn were a band of ruthless mercenaries who traveled from planet to planet, seizing the resources they coveted and needed while brutalizing the natives into complying. One such world was the desert planet Sovarin, which possessed a resource that they really desired. And then after several raids on their world, the Sovarins rose up against them, refusing to comply anymore. As punishment for the defiance, the mercenaries cut out the tongues of every single man, woman, and child they could find. The story was told by Nief's Nest to Tobias Beckett and Han Solo before they went to Dryden Voss, which this is during the events of Solo, if anybody watched Solo.
Yeah. Enfys Nest is the later revealed, it's like almost a decade since, no, it's like 6 or 5 years since Solo. So, spoiler warning for Solo, but it's a bounty hunter who's later revealed to be a woman of red hair. And that scene on the beach where she's talking about the Crimson Dawn.
Yeah.
And she says that to Beckett and Solo right before they try to get the play on Dryden Voss.
Yep.
Yeah.
As for the movie, it's a fun watch movie.
Yeah, it's not anything, for my opinion, it's not anything to write home about it, but I enjoyed it when I watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then eventually the Crimson Dawn would dominate the criminal underworld and became the most powerful in what known as the 5 crime syndicates. The others being the Crymorah Syndicate, the Black Suns, the Pike Syndicate, and the Hutt Clan. Crimson Dawn was also enjoyed a fragile alliance with the Pike Syndicate. And then in 19 BBY, the Crimson Dawn became a member of the Shadow Collective, a vast criminal organization under the control of rogue Sith Lord Maul. After they joined the Collective, Crimson Dawn participated in the taking of Mandalore. So this is also where, as I mentioned, Maul is part of the. He created the Shadow Collective, which eventually absorbed the Crimson Dawn or took part of it. And we see him show up in Solo, and that's why he's in Solo. That's it. It's the only reason it was a cameo.
Also, in Season 7 of Clone Wars, you can see Maul talking to the Shadow Collective, and Dryden Voss is present in that scene.
I completely forgot about that, that they tied him in. And obviously Season 7 came after Solo did, so it was easy for them to, slap a guy in here. And then, at the time of the Siege of Mandalore, the Crimson Dawn was led directly by a near-human man, Dryden Voss. Just prior to the enactment of Order 66, Maul ordered Voss, as well as other leaders in the Shadow Collective, to go into hiding in anticipation for the chaos following the rise of the Empire. And if you watch Season 7, Maul knows exactly what's going to be going on. He knows exactly what's happening, tries to warn everybody, but everybody doesn't trust him because he's Maul. And, yeah. And you can see Maul was completely right in the entire time.
I think it's so interesting that Maul was so privy to Palpatine's plans, because I feel like Palpatine is play his cards very close to the chest.
Yes. I guarantee Maul probably would have picked, he picked everything up himself. Palpatine never shared this crap to him.
Right. So you think he eavesdropped on conversations or
picked it up from sources trying all out through throughout the galaxy with the Shadow Collective. But he never told Dooku his plans. Obviously, because Dooku got killed for his plans. So,
but Maul knew that Anakin was key to Palpatine's plans.
That is true. Oh, that is a good. Yeah, I'm curious how he found that out.
Right. Maybe that's why Dooku doesn't know, because Palpatine thought I trusted this person too much.
Look what it got me. Well, he also thought Maul was dead for the longest of times.
Right.
Until he popped back up, and then, Palpatine schooled Maul and Savage.
Mm-hmm.
But, then Maul eventually took a more direct role in the Crimson Dawn activities. Much like the previous rule over Mandalore, Maul elected to rule from the shadows rather than establish himself as the visible leader of the Syndicate. However, unlike the Shadow Collective, most of the rank-and-file organization did not report to him directly, and few even knew his identity. Instead, Maul relied on a figurehead, Dryden Voss, to serve as the executor of his will to his men. And then, during the reign of the Galactic Empire, the Crimson Dawn had significant influence in the area WoW space that the planet Pashvi was located in. Crimson Dawn's base of operations at the time was the Night Black Naru-class yacht named the First Light, which was owned by Voss and also served as private residence. The organization was also known to utilize Fang-class starfighters. Also, during this time, the Galactic Empire often clashed with the Crimson Dawn in security enforcement missions, many in which pilot Yurick Quill participated in the Imperial side, which would remember long after her Imperial career. And it's kind of funny they use Quill as a pilot's name in this when we have another Galaxy pilot named Quill in another entire Disney franchise.
Yeah, that Quill was named Quill before Disney.
That's true. That's also true. And then on the planet of Athos Klee, Crimson Dawn operated an ore hub in a valley on the world to offer lucrative 1-year contracts for laborers to work there. The Syndicate employed Dr. Cornelius Evarzen to cybernetically alter his workers in a gene mod chop shop housed on the site of the cluster of hexagonal silos. The Barsculus Dexter Jester eventually discovered the Crimson Dawn's ore hub. He then rescued a single Rhodian worker from the hub, and the pair headed back towards the spaceport. So Dexter gets some action during all this. And he's been getting a lot more story development now with the recent Brothers novel that they recently released back in May. Dexter is getting more of a story.
That's the bar owner or the diner owner on Coruscant?
Yes.
Or is that just Dexter?
That's yeah. Dexter Jester is his full name, but Dext.
What a Lucas name, Dexter Jester.
I know, right? And then around this time, during the reign of the Empire and the Crimson Dawn had a Zabrak male, Jarm Brock, infiltrated the operations of the Hutt crime lord, Jabba, I'm not even going to say his full name, Jabba the Hutt, and Mos Inthra on the planet of Tatooine as part of the ruse to send Jabba after the Hutt Council. The plan worked as Jabba believed that Boku, a fellow council member, had been behind Brock's infiltration. And then, sometime between 13 BBY and 10 BBY, a human woman named Qi'ra was sold as a slave to Voss. He saw great potential in her and eventually trained her and made her his lieutenant. This promotion eventually led to Hondo Ohnaka partner with the bounty hunter droid IG-88, pursuing Qi'ra on Ord Mantell, the two believing that the Crimson Dawn lieutenant would fetch a large bounty. And so, there's Hondo doing his Hondo things with a droid.
Right. I just am, sometimes just amazed at Hondo's, audacity. That he's just I'm just going to go mess with the biggest crime syndicate. And, when things turn south, I'm just going to deny my involvement.
Right. He he has the biggest guts when it comes to everything. He will go after everything or anything he wants and not have no remorse afterwards. And if he gets caught, sorry, it's not my fault.
Right.
So they actually successfully restrained her, but after Qi'ra managed to make IG-88 turn on Onaka while the pirate was distracted, Qi'ra picked the lock of the binders that they put her in and escaped before putting binders on Onaka. With IG-88 and Onaka now both in binders, Qi'ra held them at blaster point and forced them to walk so that she could collect the bounty on both of them. Sometime after Qi'ra became Voss's lieutenant, Crimson Dawn performed a raid on one of the warehouses of the Razzie Syndicate. Yeah. She played them.
As she would.
Yeah, it's true, and I'm not surprised she got one over on Hondo, because, you know, Hondo's also very oblivious when it comes to things, too.
Yeah, she plays Hondo, which is easy, but she also plays Han Solo, which,
True.
you know, he kind of plays the fool, but it's not easy to pull one over on Han. I mean, really, Qi'ra and Lando are the only ones we actually see on screen do it.
This is true. Yeah, that is true.
And those are two people that one he really trusted, and the other he kind of trusted.
Yep. One stayed in his life, the other one didn't. So, by 10 BBY, Dryden Voss still served as the public leader for the organization, and that year Voss sent his associate Tobias Beckett to obtain the shipment of coaxium from the planet Vandar for the Crimson Dawn. Voss met with Beckett and his crew on the first light after they failed to obtain the coaxium. Voss considered killing them, but instead allowed them to perform a new heist for coaxium on the space mines of Kessel, and sent Qi'ra with them. So this is obviously during the events of Solo. And then they successfully retrieved the coaxium, and with the help of the support of smuggler Lando Calrissian, one of the people working for Beckett, named Han Solo, who was also Qi'ra's former lover, wanted to give the coaxium to the freedom fighters known as the Cloud Riders instead of the Crimson Dawn. However, Beckett, who was a secret double agent for the Crimson Dawn, revealed to Voss Solo's plan, but Solo suspected Beckett betrayal and had planned to coordinate. So this is also like, it's hard to get over on Han because he's always thinking ahead and always thinking of betrayal, because that's how the life he lived.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Solo really shows kind of like why he's like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then in 3 BBY, the Crimson Dawn sent an agent to bid on an auction for the Thyrax Redux transmitter on Kentaka, held by the Waning Star Syndicate. In the final round of bidding, the agent outbid all of the closest contenders, but then a firefight broke out, and the Pyrex Redux transmitter disappeared in the chaos. So that's the first part of the Crimson Dawn. And at this point, I think we should take our mid-break.
Yeah, let's do it.
This episode is brought to you by San Pellegrino Ciao. A gift from Italy to your home. San Pellegrino Ciao is a flavored sparkling water made with real fruit juice, finished with a pinch of Sicilian salt for a perfectly balanced taste. So which flavor will you choose? Peach, lime, blood orange, cherry, or maybe the all-new limoncello? Crafted in Italy with 0 grams of added sugar. San Pellegrino Ciao. Buy it now.
All right, welcome to the middle of the show where we talk about everything to do with the podcast that's not about the lore of Legends and canon. So this time I'd like to thank our patrons who are supporting our podcast, and just a great thank you for your support. You too can join our Patreon. You'll find the link at patreon.com/holocronhistories or whatever it is. The link is also in our episode descriptions. If you're listening to us live, you can go when we post the episode on Monday or to a previous episode on Apple or Spotify, and you'll find that link. Also, you can join our Discord to come and talk to us on the Cups podcast and more. You can talk to us there or the Robots Radio Discord. Another way to support us is to leave us a review on Apple or Spotify, where we can... let me redo that. Leave us a review on Apple or Spotify. And if you leave us a review on Apple with some words and 5 stars, we will read it on a future episode of the show. So, do we have a review to read this week?
We don't, actually. We don't have a review this week.
All right. Well, if you want to support us, reviews are great. Other than that, I think that's all I have for the middle of the show.
Yeah. And then I just want to remind people that we do live stream the show every Friday night at 8 p.m. So if you want to join us live, feel free. We're on YouTube and Twitch, both at Holocron Histories. So join us when you can. And if you want, follow us on Twitter when we'll set up notifications for that, because we will tweet when we go live. But that's all I got.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get back to it.
Cool. Alright, now that we're back in the second half of the show, this is where things are going to get very interesting, because I've never read any of the Crimson Dawn comics at all yet, and doing the research for the Crimson Dawn, there's a lot of things that went down. It deals with Solo, but not in the way that you think. So, in 2 BBY, the Crimson Dawn lost a secret leader when Maul was stranded on the Outer Rim planet Malachor, and later slain on the planet Tatooine. This led to the Crimson Dawn being thought to be destroyed by its rivals, but the Crimson Dawn was not truly defeated, but instead operated secretly on a smaller scale, bidding up its assets until it would make a return. And then during this time, Qi'ra, earning the title of Lady, came to control the remains of the Crimson Dawn and led us rebuilding. Qi'ra plotted to use it in the order to set the stage for the defeat of Emperor Palpatine and Lord Vader. Ooh. So she's making already big plans for all that.
That just makes me think, like, there had to be another, like, meetup between Qi'ra and Han.
I'll get to that.
Okay.
As the Crimson Dawn slowly began to grow again, the organization eventually achieved a new headquarters in the form of the Fortress flagship, the Vermilion. The ship contained a gallery that had a collection of artifacts, especially dark side and Sith artifacts, both collected by Lady Qi'ra and from Voss's old collection. The organization had also managed to develop a web of sleeper agents in many organizations throughout the galaxy, including the Empire, the Hutt Cartel, the Black Suns, and the Rebel Alliance, and the Tag Corporation. Sometime after Qi'ra became the leader of the Crimson Dawn, she sought after a woman who was known as the Madeline Sun. Sun was a former Sava, or teacher of the University of Barleth, and devoted her life to studying the Force, especially the dark side. So this is where it's going to get pretty interesting on some of these things. So Qi'ra then revealed to Sun that the Emperor Palpatine was the Sith Lord Darth Sidious. Sun was distraught, realized that her life and happiness were taken away from her, to which Qi'ra told her to follow into her ship so she could make her an offer. Qi'ra showed Sun Crimson Dawn's collection of dark side artifacts, and that when she arrived on the ship, artifacts that she told Sun she could either inherit or found in dark corners of the galaxy, that she knew where to look because of her mentor, alluding to Maul. Qi'ra told her that she wanted to bring down the Sith to set the galaxy free, and that she wanted her to be her expert on the dark side that they need in the order to do so. Sun, who wanted to reclaim her former glory and truly live again, agreed. Qi'ra told Sun to attempt to find Jedi Grand Master Yoda in the hopes that they would recruit him to the cause, as the Jedi were the ancient enemy of the Sith. So yeah, this is where it gets interesting, where like Qi'ra's like full-fledged on wanting to take down Vader and Sidious. And she wants to do as much as possible, even trying to find Yoda.
Right. I think, and this goes back to a little bit of a character analysis from Solo. Both Han and Qi'ra are very much in a state where their personal freedom is of the utmost importance. Qi'ra much more so, because Han escapes Corellia, but Qi'ra does not, and she is sold to Voss.
She's sold to the Crimson Dawn. Yeah.
Right. And so she's very much trying to secure her own freedom, and that's part of the reason why, spoiler alert, she doesn't go with Han at the end of Solo, and she takes over because she feels more kinship and power and freedom in doing that. And so I'm sure with the way the Empire's been treating the crime syndicates as a whole, when we look at the Hutts and the Bounty Hunters Guild, she probably sees that taking them down is another way to secure her freedom.
Yep. So then Sun, who became known as the Archivist, learned that Qi'ra, in charge of the Crimson Dawn, learned that the organization had agents everywhere. This allowed the Archivist to access all the information she could possibly need in the organization connections. The Archivist continued to try to locate Yoda for Qi'ra, and without the Crimson Dawn resources, eventually deduced that Yoda had left Coruscant the day the Empire fell on Senator Bail Organa's starship, the Tantive 3. The Archivist traveled to the planet Dagobah in the Seleucid system, and when she arrived, was saved by someone using the Force from a swamp monster, and then led to the same person to a dark cave. She would never reveal what she saw in the cave, but when she exited the cave, she physically changed and felt enlightened. The Archivist learned that she had been saved and led to the cave by Yoda, and was moved by his empathy and desire to teach her instead of harm her, and inspired by the idea of the connection to the light side of the Force. The Archivist returned to Crimson Dawn and met with Qi'ra aboard the Vermilion, but lied and told her that Yoda was dead, and she was sure of it. So even after finding Yoda, she felt so enlightened and felt so much loyalty to Yoda to lie that, yeah, he's dead. You don't need him anymore.
It's interesting because, like, I can think of only two people in Legends and canon now who have found Yoda. Not Yoda reaching out to them or something like that, but have found Yoda, and that is Galen Merrick and now this Archivist.
Yeah. Archivist, who is canon. Yeah. Galen Merrick, who sadly is not. But still, like, these two characters that have physically found him, and have literally said nothing about him. Like, oh yeah, he's alive.
Right. And like Starkiller, he doesn't even know who he's found.
Oh, that's true. When
he goes there.
That's also true. Yeah. He had no idea who he was. Some little green dude. But I don't know.
I think that's so interesting, and like it's interesting that well, I guess, is the Archivist Force sensitive?
No, not to my. From what I've read up, she is just someone who studies the Force.
Right, and so like for a non-Force sensitive, I guess you could track, like, if you tracked down, like, hit Yoda's path from Kashyyyk and then to Coruscant, and you could track it down and figure that out. But that's impressive to me.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right, because the only people who know where Yoda is are Obi-Wan and Bail Organa, and I'm not even sure they actually know where he is. Well, no, Obi-Wan does, because he tells Luke to go to Dagobah.
True, Obi-Wan knows. I don't think Bail doesn't. I don't think Bail knows. Because, I mean, Yoda went in hiding. Obviously, he knows where. Obviously, we know Bail knows where Obi-Wan is because Obi-Wan's protecting Luke. Where's Luke located?
Right.
Tatooine, but Yoda's not
Well,
protecting
he knows
anybody.
Yoda knows where Leia is too, and I think there had to be a plan in place that eventually, after Obi-Wan was done training Luke or Leia, that they would come to Yoda eventually.
That's true.
But I don't know.
But sometime later, Qi'ra and the archivist traveled to the Mid-Rim planet Varnock, where they met the Knights of Ren, a group of masked Darkseid utilizing warriors and their leader Ren. Qi'ra introduced herself to him and told him that she had heard that he was powerful. Qi'ra told him that it was only a matter of time before the Sith came to them, and that she and the Crimson Dawn could offer them whatever they wanted, explaining that she needed the help of the Force users for a job. Ren said that he was listening and asked what the job was, to which Qi'ra said that they were going to love it. That's the other thing. Like, that's interesting to me too. Is like, oh, now we're getting a connection to the sequel series, where, because the Knights of Ren are in the sequels, where they are an elite Force wielder unit. Well, by the time of the movies, Kylo Ren is the leader of the Knights of Ren.
Right. It's interesting to me that they are Force users, because they're not presented that way in the movie.
No. Long story short, they have they are feared and they look scary, and by the time we actually see them in action, they get cut down like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I always thought that the Knights of Ren were just students from Luke's school.
Right. Yeah, that's what a lot of people when the movies were coming out, that's what everything was theorizing. Oh, they're just Force wielders that Kylo converted from Luke's school. Now from this, it's the Knights of Ren were way before the sequels even started.
It's also important to note that Kylo Ren is not a Sith Lord. He does not have that designation, because he's not a follower of... He's a follower of the dark side, but he's not a follower of the Sith religion or ideology.
True. And a little side note with that, going from that, to be considered a Sith, you have to go through specific training. That's why when you look at in Star Wars Rebels, or even seeing Obi-Wan, when you see the Inquisitors, yes, they're dark side Force wielders, but they're not considered Sith, because they were never given that specific training to be considered Sith. Because if they were going to be killed, or someone would have died.
Right, and it's important to note that the Inquisitors are never trained to the level that Vader is at. Mm-hmm. He is always stronger than them.
As we see when Reva tries to fight him. It's hilarious. Because he doesn't do anything. He just, stopping with his hand, not even using his own saber. But anyway, off topic. So by the return of the Crimson Dawn, the time for the return of the Crimson Dawn and the beginning of Lady Qi'ra's plan would come when she discovered that her former lover, Han Solo, had become important to the Rebel Alliance, the Empire, and the Hutt clan, and other major powers, and had been frozen in carbonite. Under the leadership of Margot and the direction of Qi'ra, the Crimson Dawn agents traveled to Nar Shaddaa and captured the carbonite block from Boba Fett via Dr. Ragun, and was fixing the carbonite matrix for Fett, so they remained alive as the agents transferred him to the Vermilion. So Qi'ra stole carbonite Han. That's when she met him again. Because he's frozen in carbonite.
But she doesn't unfreeze him.
Correct. And I'm about to get in why. It's very interesting. So after the Crimson Dawn sees Solo on Nar Shaddaa, a Crimson Dawn agent traveled to Diva Lampop on the planet to thank her and follow up. Lampop contacted Bib Fortuna under the guise of a follow-up on her chasing after Fett, but was really trying to see if Jabba was attempting to regain Solo by attending the Crimson Dawn's auction. And then Darth Vader and a Sith assassin, Ochi of Bastoon, learned that the Crimson Dawn had something to do with Boba Fett's loss of Solo after chasing down IG-88 and the droid Crush pirates of Bastoon, who they were told to go in after Solo by Buka the Hutt, who was also working for Vader. Vader was searching for Solo to use him to get to Luke Skywalker. He was wanted to kill because he was the only threat to his power and the place in the Palpatine side, and had believed that he could not overthrow the Emperor and the rule of his son. Later, Administrator Sly Moore told Vader that he wanted to kill Skywalker and needed to get Solo from the Crimson Dawn's auction. They agreed, and they would represent the Empire at the auction so the Emperor would not learn of Vader's plan to kill Skywalker. So this is also now Vader going behind the Emperor's back, on top of trying to get Solo and carbonite. And while the Crimson Dawn made preparations, an armed smuggler named Denvaro Vix, who was highly connected to the Hutts, revealed to bounty hunters Belet Valance and Dengar that the Crimson Dawn had stolen Han Solo from Boba Fett, and they had returned. So this is where it's getting so crazy, where everybody's now, okay, Solo was kidnapped. Why he's still frozen in carbonite? Now everybody's wanting to get him. You're trying to get other bounty hunters to get him. You're trying to get the Crimson Dawn to sell him off. Jabba's trying to get him. Vader's trying to get him. And I was like, all these people are trying to get Han, and it gets hectic.
And Han has no idea how popular he is.
I know. That's true. Only if he knew. And then later on, Qi'ra, once all the binders had arrived, Qi'ra thanked the Syndicates for coming as she introduced herself as the new leader of the Crimson Dawn, as well officially announcing its return. She then revealed Solo to the crowd and started the bidding. After bids by many, including Lord Gyuti and the Black Suns, the Pikes, Buka, and the Administrator Moore and the Empire, it soon ended when Jabba the Hutt bid 1 million credits. With no other bids, Qi'ra congratulated Jabba and told him the smuggler was his. However, the auction and Jabba's retrieval of Solo was then interrupted by the arrival of Darth Vader, guarded by 2 Death Troopers. Vader declared that Solo belonged to him. So this is where it's going to get very, very rough. The Empire loaded Solo onto the Imperial shuttle, and Boba Fett pursued them, but was stopped by Valance and Dengar as Qi'ra had planned. After Valance abandoned Dengar for Boba Fett, Dengar provided death sticks and subsequently the Crimson Dawn with the location of Catala, which had been discovered when Valance had a transmission to the girl. Returned to the gallery later, Qi'ra explained that Margot and it both was and wasn't what she expected to happen. The Vader arrival had been planned. The fact that Qi'ra fought him herself showed the galaxy the Crimson Dawn had not backed down and would obey the Empire. Qi'ra told Margot to leave her as many messages were sent and strings to pull. So during this, Qi'ra was fought Vader and somehow didn't die. Yeah.
I mean, she wouldn't be the first person to escape Vader.
This is true. That's true.
And the Sith assassin, Ochi or whatever.
Ochi, yeah.
Ochi. Sith assassin Ochi, he fought Vader too, and he's not really his force powers are ambiguous.
That's
but
true. Yeah.
He fought Vader too, and Vader is formidable, but if you can be fast enough and hit some of his breathing equipment or other chess pieces, you can really slow him down.
Oh yeah.
To a point where you might not win outright, but you could slow him down enough.
Slow him down to get the heck out.
Yeah.
So, feeling insulted and embarrassed that the Empire had been allowed to take Solo from the Hutts, Buka the Hutt Buka of the Hutt Council ordered a retaliation, stealing the Empire shuttle that held Solo and capturing its crew. This caused a firefight between the Empire and the Hutts, causing the Hutts to lose Han again, but secretly Buka was working for the Crimson Dawn, and after receiving an order from the Crimson Dawn, ordered the Hutt Armada to attack the Imperial flagship with everything they had. An all-out battle between the Hutts and the Empire ensued, and the chaos playing directly into the Crimson Dawn's hands. And then after Boba Fett had regained Solo and returned him to Jabba, Qi'ra gathered many individuals who were loyal to Crimson Dawn, including the Knights of Ren, Kathrath Cha, and the Orphans, the Assassin Deathstick, Kyra's advisor Margot, and Trinia, and the Archivist. And then we are actually almost done here. Sweet. So then we get into where the Crimson Dawn is pretty prevalent in the galaxy now at this point. Sometime after the Battle of Jericho, Vader returned to the Executor and spoke with the Emperor Palpatine via hologram, redeclaring the devotion to the Emperor. Palpatine ordered Vader to root out the Crimson Dawn from the many levels of the Empire that the organization have infiltrated and show the Empire's strength. Sometime after her capture by the Assassin's Guild, Lady Qi'ra visited Leia Organa on the Millennium Falcon. An ex is talking to the current. She explained that to Organa that she had hoped that Han would be returned to the rebellion. Her contingency plan to retrieve Solo again was most likely for that purpose. She also revealed Solo was still alive and had been sold to Jabba the Hutt, and offered the Crimson Dawn's resources to help Organa moved to get back. She also told Organa she and the Crimson Dawn would be useful to the rebellion if they ever wanted their support. So that's also interesting. So this kind of like shows how Leia went to get Han. It was a whole plan devised by Qi'ra. So Han's ex was helping his current girlfriend.
Well, and like Qi'ra knows Lando, she knows all the players, she knows, like, she probably organized the ways that, like, to sneak Lando in as a mercenary, to disguise Leia as a bounty hunter, to capture Chewie, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
Was probably from her inside knowledge of her own assets within the Hutt cartel.
Yeah. And then now we get to the Syndicate War. Qi'ra traveled to the Black Sun frigate, the Dark Path, to meet the Lord Gyru, one of the leaders of the Black Suns. On behalf of the Crimson Dawn, Qi'ra noted that Gyru brought his guards and asked if the Crimson Dawn's reputation was really that terrible. Qi'ra then offered up a valuable piece of information to Gaitu. She had that the Emperor was furious at the Hutt's betrayal and now searching for a new partner, and could take up the role for the Hutts, and had wished providing services for the Empire outside the bounds of Imperial law in exchange for projected status. Qi'ra said that the Crimson had no interest in the partnership, but it could be quite an opportunity for organizations the size of the Black Suns. Later, Chaneth Cha and the Orphans were sent on the mission by the Crimson Dawn to help perform one of the first major steps in Qi'ra's plan. They were sent to destroy the Black Sun's smash processing lab on the planet Dantooine. They destroyed the lab and left no survivors, leaving no clues that could trace the attack back to the Crimson Dawn. Afterwards, the Orphans continue with more destructive missions on behalf of the Crimson Dawn. They destroyed ships and facilities and left little no survivors. This created an atmosphere of dread and distress among the syndicates. None of them knew who to blame, so they blamed each other, and the fighting encouraged by double agents of Crimson Dawn. This tension was accelerated by the Crimson Dawn story, and the Empire was ending their deal with the Hutts and wanted the strongest syndicate to take its place. So Qi'ra had a plan to basically, hey, we're going to make sure none of these crime syndicates trust each other, so we're going to plant double agents and to make as much chaos as possible. That's fun.
Always fun.
And then now we get to where Qi'ra was pleased with what the orphans had accomplished and told Trinia to pass word to them that they had done their part for the time and could lay low. Qi'ra also told the advisors to reach out to Leia Organa for a meeting and declared that the rebels would be part of her plan if they didn't want to be, even if they didn't realize it. The archivist was made a general advisor on the Force of the Sith and was given tasks to search the members of the fallen enemy of the Sith, the Jedi. Qi'ra believed that many of the powerful allies were perfect bait. She once again looked into Yoda in the Crimson Dawn's archives, calling him a friend. The archivist also sent archaeologist Darkside fanatic Kofun Faris to find the Spark Eternal, a piece of technology created by the Darkside cult known as the Ascendant, who created artifacts and that could allow non-Force sensitives to utilize the dark side. That's terrifying.
That really is terrifying.
Hey, we're going to have a Sith. He's created something so non-Force wielders can use anything. That's great. That's great, guys.
That kind of reminds us, did you play the Jedi Academy?
Yes.
Jedi Knight Jedi Academy game?
Oh, yeah.
So the that reminds me, in that story and in the Jedi Knight story, they like find a way to impart Force into non-forcitive people with the Scepter of Marka Ragnos, and
that's right.
Just kind of reminds me of that.
It's great when I see. It's just great to see things that we played in games like pop up in the current canon of things. Like, hey, we're taking notice of the old stuff, guys. We're just changing them a bit or making them new things. But hey, it's the idea and concepts there.
Yeah, and that kind of thing I don't really like mind as much because, you know, there's only a finite way you can do things when you're telling stories, and the expanded universe is so vast. There's so much out there that they're bound to just repeat it and then just not even really realize that they're repeating it.
Oh yeah,
because there's no way one person can know the entirety of the expanded universe.
Oh God, no. I mean, George Lucas, when he made Star Wars, he never thought and this is before Disney bought Star Wars, Legends had hundreds of writers. There was so much content out there from everyone. And it just, eventually Disney's going to be they make something and then when you read it and look back on it, it's wait, wasn't this part of something else? And then, they could have known or they could not have known. There's just so much out there.
Right, definitely.
So, in the end of the Empire's reign across the galaxy, Dr. Chili Lana Alfra noted this in the Smuggler's Guide, which is a book you can actually buy, that the Crimson Dawn and the Crymorah Syndicate were losing ground, while the Hutts and the Pikes were consolidating assets. Alpha theorized that this was because the hidden treasures indicated in the Smuggler's Guide that you can be claimed by the Times seemed to have benefited the syndicates in the Eastern Rim, such as said Hutts and Pikes, thus destabilizing the underworld balance of power. And that is all I have on the Crimson Dawn. But yeah, you can, with the Smuggler's Guide, that is one of the books. It's just like the Jedi's Path or the Book of the Sith. You can actually buy, on Amazon or anywhere. You can buy books. It just has a bunch of canon and legends material in it. It's cool.
Yeah. Interesting. All interesting stuff about the Crimson Dawn. I like how... And we'll get to this when the Pikes, but for me, the Pikes and the Hutts just kind of blend together in their mode of operation.
Mm-hmm.
But I like that the Crimson Dawn is different.
Oh yeah,
their goals and even when before they're under Qi'ra's reigns.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was just interesting they had a war over Han. It's like everybody wants Han's body and carbonite for some reason. It's like, what is going on with this?
Right. And like, Han is wanted for something that any smuggler would do in the situation that he was in.
Yeah. The only reason they like mainly wanted him is because he was a big shot in the Rebel Alliance. He was one of the pilots that helped destroy the Death Star. Other than that was the main thing. He was a general in the Alliance.
It's not a surprising, it's a pretty good feat to get the drop on Darth Vader, who was Anakin Skywalker, one of the best pilots in the galaxy.
Having just a run-of-the-mill smuggler beat you at your own game that you owned since you were 6.
Right, before Han was probably drinking out of a bottle when Anakin was blowing up the droid control ship.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, but it's just so funny that I think that if he wasn't part of the rebellion and at that point a captain in the Rebel Alliance.
Oh yeah, he was a captain.
I don't think they really would have cared. It's the minute that the Empire wants a bounty on him that
everybody wants a bounty. Then everybody wants him. If the Empire wants him, everybody wants him now. Because he's important.
And that doesn't change all the way up to Force Awakens, where he walks in and there's 2 crime people that he's swindled, and they want him.
Yep. Oh my God, I can't remember who did he swindle?
Oh, they have some kind of name, but I don't remember.
They weren't part of the 5 big ones.
No, I'd have to watch the movie. It's been so long since I've watched The Force Awakens that I do not. No.
That's fair. But yeah, that's what we got this week.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was fun. Next week we'll continue. We going still crime families?
Yes, we are still doing crime families next week. And next week we are going to be doing the Pike Syndicate. So there we go.
Oh. Well, tune in next week for lots and lots of fun. And thanks for listening to the Holocron Histories podcast. We'll see you next week.
And may the Force be with you. Thank you for listening to Holocron Histories, Star Wars Canon versus Legends. You can find us on the Robots Radio Discord at robotsradio.net. You can also follow us on Twitter at SWHoloHistories and contact us at holocronhistories@gmail.com.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.